The incident you are about to hear was recounted by two people, Kokon Howlader and Haroon Malik. They are related as maternal uncle and nephew, and their homes are located extremely close to one another, no more than 100 yards apart. Because of their close relationship and proximity to the place where these events took place, both of them were able to learn about and recount the details of what happened. ***. Now let us begin the story. About 500 yards west of Ahmedabad Bazaar, there stands a banyan tree that is believed to be more than 400 years old. After speaking with some of the elderly people of the area, several supernatural incidents connected to this tree came to light. Locally, this banyan tree is known as the Shrine of the Five Pirs. According to local accounts, a very long time ago, there was water nearly 80 cubits deep at the very place where the banyan tree now stands. In those days, steamers, launches, and various other boats used to travel through this area. From what has been learned through local accounts, around 400 years ago, 5 elderly and spiritually revered dervishes came to this region from somewhere unknown. They settled on the riverbank and established their spiritual abode there. It is said that they were the ones who planted this banyan tree. They worked for the welfare and benefit of thousands of people living in this area and continued their spiritual practices there. There are also stories that many jinn were among the followers of these 5 dervishes. Some of those jinn were followers of different religions, yet they were devoted followers of these 5 pirs. It has never been heard that these jinn caused harm to anyone. On the contrary, there are accounts of people receiving various kinds of help from them. At least, that is what has been passed down through local stories. According to information obtained from a supposedly reliable source, these 5 dervishes, or the 5 pirs, were highly advanced spiritual practitioners. It is said that they would eat their meals at a particular time of the day or night, and ordinary people rarely had the opportunity to see them. Unless they wished to reveal themselves, no one could easily see them. As far as people know, on a particular day of the week, these 5 dervishes would come together and perform various spiritual practices and provide spiritual remedies for the welfare of the people of the area. However, these events took place so long ago that very little is actually known about the names or identities of those 5 dervishes, or the 5 saints. It is also said that no one is allowed to tear off, cut, or remove any leaf, branch, or root of that banyan tree. Yet, many years ago, a man from the area deliberately cut off one of its branches, apparently out of disrespect and disbelief. According to local belief, on the following day, a crocodile emerged from the area of the banyan tree and dragged the man away. His body was never found. People believe that if someone cuts a branch of this tree, it bleeds like a living creature, and the person who cuts it eventually suffers bleeding from the mouth and nose and dies. One such person was Muhammad Habibur Rahman, whose home was in Kakir village, located close to the shrine of the 5 pirs. The incident took place sometime in the 1990s. Habibur Rahman was considered a very handsome man. He was physically strong and robust. However, he was rather indifferent toward the banyan tree and did not take the stories surrounding it seriously. He was also a very curious person. For some reason, one day he decided that he would cut one of the branches of the banyan tree himself. He selected a particular branch and cut it. After the branch was cut, a small amount of light red liquid came out of it. Could have been sap or perhaps something that looked like blood. That was what he thought. He simply dismissed it, thinking, **, what's so special about this? It's nothing unusual, **. He then returned home. After finishing some light work at home, he went into his garden for a while. While he was there, he suddenly felt as though his foot had struck or bumped into something. Immediately, he felt a sharp and intense pain. A short while later, the pain began getting worse and worse. He received some initial treatment from a local village doctor. However, that night, his condition became much more serious. He began suffering from excruciating pain, and that very night, his leg became severely swollen. He underwent treatment from several doctors, but his leg did not improve. Eventually, severe gangrene and decay developed in his leg. Even after the leg was amputated, it was no longer possible to save his life. There are said to be many such incidents associated with that place. And now we come to the main incident. The incident took place in 2007. Approximately 200 yards directly south of the ancient banyan tree at the shrine of the Five Pirs in Kakir, there stood the house of Harun Malik. And it was at Harun Malik's house that the next incident took place. More specifically, it happened to his wife. For reasons of privacy, I will not reveal the woman's name. According to the accounts, a particular snake would frequently visit her. Many members of her family had seen the snake, and several people knew about it. People believed that the snake was a Manasa snake, a supernatural serpent associated with the goddess Manasa in local folklore. The snake would appear to Harun Malik's wife at different times, sometimes in her dreams and sometimes, according to her account, in reality. She claimed that when the snake came to her, it would speak to her. The snake allegedly told her that she had to offer milk and bananas at the base of the ancient banyan tree and worship it. However, Harun Malik was a practicing Muslim, and his wife was also a religious woman. She repeatedly refused. She would say, "No, cannot do this. My religion does not allow me to worship anything like this." But then, one afternoon, something unexpected happened. Harun Malik's young son was playing when he suddenly fell and broke his arm. He was in tremendous pain and cried out in agony. But the following morning, something extraordinary was discovered. The broken arm had completely healed. The injury had been so severe that the arm had been hanging loosely, yet by the next morning, it appeared to have completely recovered. The boy was perfectly healthy again and was even running around as if nothing had happened. When the family asked the boy what had happened, he gave them a strange answer. He said that the same snake that used to visit his mother at night had come to him. According to the boy, the snake had done something to him, and afterward, his arm had become completely healed. Everyone was shocked. How could a severely broken arm become completely normal in a single night? Whatever the explanation may have been, the incident left everyone deeply disturbed. In the meantime, the snake appeared to the woman again in a dream, told her, "Go to the banyan tree. Offer milk and bananas there. Worship me. The snake also began tempting her with promises of money and other kinds of wealth. But the woman continued to refuse. Every time she gave the same answer, "No, that is impossible. I cannot do this." Then came November 25th, 2007. That night, the snake came directly to the woman. This time, it did not appear in a dream. It was there in front of her. The snake allegedly began speaking to her face to face. Imagine the terror of seeing a snake raising its hood and speaking like a human being. Yet even in that horrifying situation, Harun Malik's wife remained firm. She told the snake that she could never worship it. She said that doing so would go against her religion. After speaking with her for some time, the snake began to leave. And as it was making its way out, it came directly in front of the woman's husband, Harun Malik. So what did Harun Malik do? He became furious. Without hesitation, he picked up a brick and began striking the snake repeatedly. His first blow landed directly on the snake's head. The snake writhed violently. Harun Malik then raised the brick again and struck it a second time. After that, he picked up a stick and began beating the snake repeatedly. But something extremely strange was happening. As Harun Malik continued attacking the snake, his wife began screaming from inside the house. Every time he struck the snake with the brick, she appeared to suffer an injury. Blood began coming from her head. When he struck the snake with the stick, marks from the blows appeared on his wife's body. It was as if the injuries inflicted on the snake were simultaneously being inflicted upon her. Eventually, the snake died. Harun Malik killed it and threw its body into a nearby garden. Harun Malik was known as a deeply religious, pious, and devout Muslim. He had already heard about the snake from his wife on several occasions. Because he had heard about it repeatedly, he had gradually become extremely irritated and angry whenever the subject of the snake came up. And that night, all of that anger finally exploded. After he killed the snake, something terrifying began happening around the house. That very night, violent disturbances and destruction started occurring in the gardens surrounding the house. At the same time, the woman's condition became extremely critical. It became impossible even to restrain her. It was as though she had suddenly gained the strength of 50 or 60 people. Anyone who came near her was thrown away effortlessly, as though they were nothing more than a small stone. And then something even more horrifying happened. That night, the woman suddenly began behaving exactly like a snake. She started making a hissing sound, the same kind of sound a snake makes when it is agitated. Seeing this, her husband called a local Raki, a person believed to have knowledge of traditional spiritual healing and exorcism. The Raki came, examined the situation, and then told Harun Malik, "Brother, this is beyond my ability. This is an affliction caused by Manasa. Treating something like this requires a completely different kind of knowledge and spiritual practice. It is not like ordinary spiritual healing." However, he gave them one important piece of advice. He told them that, no matter what happened, the woman had to be kept inside the house. She must not be allowed to leave under any circumstances. He warned them, "If she manages to get outside even once, you will never be able to find her again." Following his advice, every door and window of the house was secured. People were stationed outside the doors to keep watch. The doors were even nailed shut from the outside so that they could not easily be opened. Then, around 2 or 2:30 in the morning, something happened that would become one of the most terrifying moments of the entire incident. Someone looked through a small opening in the fence and tried to see what was happening inside the room. What he saw was something that, even today, people find almost impossible to believe. There was no woman inside the room. Inside the room, there was a terrifying snake lying coiled up. The person who saw it could not contain his fear. He screamed, "What is this? Harun Malik's wife isn't inside the room anymore. She is turned into a snake." The door was immediately opened, and when they opened the door, they saw the unbelievable sight for themselves. News quickly spread throughout the area that Harun Malik's wife had turned into a snake. But how could a human being turn into a snake? People could not understand what they were witnessing. As word spread, many people began arriving at the house that very night just to see the strange creature with their own eyes. But almost everyone who saw the snake became terrified. The moment they caught sight of it, they would run away in fear. The narrator of this incident, Kokan Mia, was also present at the scene. He personally saw the snake with his own eyes. At one point, the snake suddenly attacked a large duck, grabbed it, and swallowed it. After eating the duck, the snake returned to the doorway of the house. It then entered the room again, coiled itself up, and remained there. Kokan Mia himself witnessed the snake eating the duck while apparently in its snake form. And he was not the only one who saw it. Several other people from the household also witnessed the same thing. By the following day, news of the incident had spread throughout the surrounding administrative areas, and large numbers of people began coming to see what was happening. But then another strange development occurred. Many people noticed that the snake had begun twisting and writhing in an unusual manner. Its size and shape also appeared to be changing. And at one point, according to those present, the snake gradually transformed back into the form of the woman. However, even after returning to human form, her behavior remained completely snake-like. She continued to hiss like a snake. She would even tear apart and eat raw ducks, chickens, and fish. Nothing seemed to be beyond her. She would repeatedly stick out her tongue just like a snake and then pull it back inside her mouth. And there was something terrifying about her eyes. It looked as though fire was coming from them. When she tried to move from one place to another, she did not walk normally on her feet. Instead, she moved in a twisting, rolling motion, just like a snake. Although she had the appearance of a human being, her behavior and movements had become completely snake-like. Eventually, the family had no choice but to restrain her with thick chains. She was taken to numerous ojas and kabarajas, traditional spiritual healers and practitioners, but none of them were able to cure her. This continued for approximately 6 months. Throughout this entire period, she continued to display these strange symptoms. Her husband, Harun Malik, later stated himself that they had brought spiritual healers and traditional practitioners from different places, but none of them could make his wife well. Eventually, they came across a Hindu spiritual practitioner named Dula Thakur, who lived in the Jagannathpur area. When Harun Malik's wife was taken to Dula Thakur, he reportedly said, "This is not an ordinary kind of spiritual knowledge. Very few people among Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, or Christians know how to deal with something like this. The treatment and spiritual practices associated with a Manasa snake are not known to everyone." Then Dula Thakur offered them what he described as a simple solution. He told them, "You don't need to do so many things. Just do one thing. Buy a cow for at least 8,000 taka or more. The price must not be lower than that. Then slaughter the cow and distribute the meat among the people. After that, she will be cured." And surprisingly, that is exactly what happened. The family followed his instructions. After the cow was purchased, slaughtered, and the meat distributed among people, Harun Malik's wife returned to a completely normal life. After that, she did not experience the same problem again. However, Dula Thakur had reportedly revealed several other things related to the incident. Harun Malik specifically requested that those details not be made public. Although he shared some of those details with Enamul Hakabir, permission was not given to reveal them publicly. According to what Dula Thakur had said, the entities associated with Manasa were extremely powerful, and their activities were beyond the ordinary understanding of human beings. They were mysterious beings. He reportedly warned that if such an entity became attached to someone or began pursuing a particular family, it could cause devastating consequences, even affecting an entire lineage. Harun Malik also shared several other details, but it would not be appropriate to reveal them here. I too told Enamul Hakabir, brother, perhaps we should not reveal these matters concerning the Manasa snake. If there are certain secrets that are meant to remain hidden, perhaps they should remain hidden. There are things that people are allowed to know, and those are the things we can talk about. But when something is specifically forbidden from being revealed, perhaps it is better to leave it that way. So, that is where the story of Dula Thakur comes into the incident. Over the years, Dula Thakur became well known in the surrounding area for his knowledge of spiritual healing, traditional remedies, and exorcism. Many people reportedly sought his help, and many believed they benefited from his treatment by the mercy of Allah. His home was approximately 1.5 kilometers away from the home of Enamul Hakabir. Now, there is another strange detail connected to the ancient banyan tree at Kakir Jarjaratala, near the shrine of the Five Pirs. At the base of this ancient banyan tree, there is a hollow or open space. Many people from the surrounding area claim to have seen two enormous black snakes inside that hollow. And according to those who saw them, these snakes had crowns on their heads. According to many people from the area, deep in the night, usually around 3 o'clock in the morning, these two snakes can often be heard moving from the ancient banyan tree toward another nearby shrine. They make a strange hissing sound as they move. But just imagine seeing two snakes of such enormous size in the middle of the night. Anyone who saw them would be terrified. After speaking with several elderly people from the area, it was learned that they had seen these two snakes many times, from their childhood right up to the present day. These two snakes are several times larger than ordinary snakes, and when they move, the sound they make is so powerful that it sounds almost like thunder. According to the local accounts, these two snakes move at certain times during the night between the shrine of the Five Pirs and another shrine located in an area surrounded by dense jungle. However, the local people also say that these snakes are generally very peaceful. There have been no known reports of them harming anyone. But if someone deliberately interferes with their movement or tries to disturb them, then, according to local belief, they can cause harm. Now, regarding the claim that a human being can transform into a snake, a respected spiritual healer, Hafiz Maulana Rahmatullah, gave his own explanation. According to what Enamul Hakabir heard from him, he said that if someone becomes afflicted by a Manasa, getting rid of that affliction is extremely difficult. He described Manasa as a very powerful entity. Regarding the possibility of a human being actually becoming a snake, Hafiz Maulana Rahmatullah said that a human being cannot literally turn into a snake. He explained that such a transformation is not part of the natural order created by Allah. However, he also said that Manasa is believed to be extremely powerful. If someone becomes afflicted by it, the person may be placed under a kind of spiritual control or illusion, causing others to see that person as having the appearance of a snake. Hafez Maulana Rahmatullah claimed that he himself had seen 1 or 2 patients who were allegedly suffering from such an affliction, and that he had also attempted to treat them. There is also another account regarding Manasa from a Hindu Cabbage named Nandakumar Thakur. According to him, Manasa is regarded within his religious tradition as a highly revered and extremely powerful goddess. He said that, according to their beliefs, temporarily causing an afflicted person to take on the appearance of a snake, or making others perceive the person in that form, is not considered unusual. He also suggested that there are many things connected to Manasa that are even more complicated and mysterious. However, he reportedly shared some of those details with Ainamul Hakabir and specifically requested that they not be made public. This particular incident was collected by Ainamul Hakabir on March 27, 2026. When he collected the story, he later told me about it. He said, "Brother, this incident really happened. A person had apparently transformed into a snake, and many people witnessed it. There are still numerous eyewitnesses who saw what happened. And the incident isn't even that old, it happened in 2007. Many of the people who witnessed it are still alive today. I then told him, alright brother, you collect all the details of the incident first. Then we'll see if we can present it to the audience, inshallah. We will try to present whatever can be shared while respecting the secrecy surrounding the parts that are not meant to be revealed. And inshallah, we will share the story to the extent that it can responsibly be told." Now, there is another incident. This next incident is much older, approximately 200 years old. The estimated time period would be somewhere around 1830, give or take a few years. It is said to be a very well-known incident in that area. The story concerns a man named Abdul Alim Garuli and an extraordinary incident involving a snake. Over the years, numerous local folk songs and traditional ballads have been composed and performed about Abdul Alim Garuli and his snake. People even used to listen to these songs on cassette tapes when they were children. Abdul Alim Garuli's home was in a remote and little-known village of the region. He was his father's only child, but his father had passed away many years earlier. The only person he had left was his mother. He had also been married only a few months earlier. Most importantly, Abdul Alim was a famous Garuli. In the local language, a snake charmer was known as a Garuli. It was said that no matter how large or how venomous a snake was, it was almost impossible for anyone to imagine that the snake would not eventually come under Abdul Alim Garuli's control. He was considered that skilled. He was regarded as one of the most renowned snake charmers of his time. If someone was bitten by a snake, regardless of how large or venomous the snake was, people believed that the venom would become like water in Abdul Alim Garuli's hands. Abdul Alim Garuli was a very well-known man. During that period, he traveled from place to place by boat. He traveled with his snake charmer's boat, carrying his snakes and equipment, moving around from one market to another. At one point, he stopped with his snake charmer's boat at Boltali in Kalatali. While staying there for several days, he learned that beside the Khalifa family's house, near the river, there was an abandoned garden surrounded by dense jungle, and there was supposedly a snake living there. People said the snake was extremely dangerous. They claimed that merely hearing its roar was enough to make a person's blood run cold. He also heard that every snake charmer who had gone there to capture this snake had packed everything up and fled the very next day. No snake charmer had been able to bring the creature under control. Hearing all this made Abdul Alim Garuli feel a sense of pride and arrogance. He thought, I am such a great Garuli, such an experienced snake charmer. How could I possibly fail to catch such an ordinary snake? At that moment, he made up his mind that he absolutely had to bring this snake under his control. Eventually, one afternoon, he went into the jungle-covered garden. He spent quite some time examining the area where the snake was believed to live. After searching carefully, he discovered a hole where the snake apparently lived. He then threw a kori, a small object used in his traditional practice, toward the hole. But the object suddenly came flying back toward him with considerable force. At that moment, he realized that this was no ordinary snake. So, for that day, he decided to leave. That night, however, he had a strange dream. In the dream, it seemed as though someone was telling him, "If you want to capture the snake from the base of that tree, you must sacrifice a male goat and worship the snake. Otherwise, you will never be able to bring it under your control." Asterisk. After having such a dream, Abdul Alim Garuli became extremely angry. Instead of becoming frightened, he became even more determined. He swore that he would capture the snake. The following morning, Abdul Alim Garuli woke up and immediately began preparing to capture the creature. After completing all his preparations, he returned to the jungle-covered garden and went beneath the enormous tree, toward the hole where the snake lived. He carefully examined his surroundings. Then he began performing his tantra mantra, the traditional incantations and spiritual practices he used to control snakes. But he soon became extremely surprised. In his long career as a snake charmer, something like this had never happened to him before. Despite applying all his knowledge and performing numerous incantations, he simply could not bring the snake under his control. Eventually, he made a final decision. He decided to use a special technique he had learned, known as tulpora. Slowly, he threw the tulpora toward the snake's hole, and then the terrifying chaos began. A horrifying roaring sound suddenly came from inside the snake's hole. It sounded as though thunder was exploding directly beneath the ground. Abdul Alim Garuli heard strange sounds coming from inside the hole. It is true that he became slightly frightened, but he continued using his spiritual knowledge and techniques. At one point, amid a tremendous roar that sounded like thunder, the snake finally emerged from the hole. But strangely enough, the snake initially appeared to be quite small. Before Abdul Alim Garuli could even understand what was happening, the snake came out of the hole and rolled across the ground, and then it suddenly transformed into an enormous, terrifying creature. In a single movement, it seized Abdul Alim Garuli in its mouth and climbed straight up the huge tree. In other words, the snake bit him, took him into its mouth, and climbed to the top of the tree with him. According to the local accounts, the snake wrapped itself around 3 bamboo groves while carrying Abdul Alim Garuli in its mouth and climbed all the way to the tops of the bamboo. Meanwhile, Abdul Alim Garuli's mother became extremely anxious. She could not understand what had happened to her son. She began asking everyone whether anyone had seen him or knew where he had gone. But nobody could give her any information. At that time, an elderly woman from the nearby Khalifa household had gone into the garden to collect firewood and fallen branches. At one point, when she walked beneath the large tree, she suddenly felt drops of liquid falling onto her head, drop after drop. Thinking it was water, she tried to find its source. She looked upward, and the moment she saw what was above her, she screamed in terror. Asterisk. "Oh my God, what has happened?" Asterisk. Above her was a gigantic and horrifying snake. The snake had bitten a human being and was wrapped around the bamboo, holding the person in its mouth. It was an absolutely terrifying sight. The old woman immediately ran back toward the house, screaming and shouting. After hearing what had happened, some people rushed toward the snake charmer's boat that was stationed near their homes. Meanwhile, Abdul Alim Garuli's mother and his wife also heard the news and hurried toward the garden. Hundreds of people from the surrounding area eventually witnessed the horrifying scene. However, before attempting to capture the snake, Abdul Alim Garuli had already told his mother and wife about everything. He had told them about the strange dream and explained that this was how the snake had to be captured. Otherwise, he believed it would never be possible to capture it. After hearing this, both his mother and his wife had warned him not to get involved with the snake. They had strongly advised Abdul Alim Garuli not to attempt such a dangerous thing. However, it is important to mention that Abdul Alim Garuli's wife was herself a spiritual practitioner from a family with a long tradition of spiritual knowledge. In fact, she was said to possess knowledge and abilities far greater than those of Abdul Alim Garuli himself. But she had never revealed these abilities to anyone. She had also never done anything to make herself appear superior to her husband or to bring any kind of disrespect upon him. But now her husband was in such a dangerous situation. What could she do? Abdul Alim Garuli's wife told the people to bring a Hindu thakur, a Hindu priest, and also to bring a male goat. Following her instructions, everyone worked together and brought a priest from a nearby temple. The priest prepared all the arrangements for the ritual. A male goat was sacrificed, and the ritual began. According to the accounts, several large containers were prepared. Some of them were filled with milk, while another large container contained a mixture of milk and bananas. At this point, Abdul Alim Garuli's wife began using her spiritual knowledge. Slowly, the snake descended from the tree while still holding Abdul Alim Garuli in its mouth. It brought him down and placed him on the ground. At that moment, everyone noticed something horrifying. Abdul Alim Garuli's entire body had turned blue from the venom. His wife continued applying her spiritual knowledge and techniques. At one point, the snake began drawing the venom out of Abdul Alim Garuli's body and transferring it into the large container of milk. The process continued. The snake kept drawing venom from Abdul Alim Garuli's body and releasing it into the milk. Eventually, the milk in the large containers gradually turned completely black. Abdul Alim Garuli had been freed from the venom. Once it became clear that he was no longer in immediate danger, several people helped carry him away and moved him to a safe place. According to the accounts, after some time, the snake went to the place where the milk and bananas had been placed and consumed everything in an instant. Eventually, the snake remained near Abdul Alim Garuli's wife for some time. Then, slowly, the snake moved away and climbed aboard Abdul Alim Garuli's boat. In the end, Abdul Alim Garuli returned from the brink of a terrible danger and possible death. After several attempts at treatment and care, he regained consciousness 3 days later and began to feel somewhat better. As far as the accounts go, the snake remained on Abdul Alim Garuli's boat for a total of 7 days. On the final day, Abdul Alim Garuli sat beside a large river and bid farewell to the snake. The snake then came down from the boat. There was a herd of buffalo grazing on the riverbank. The snake seized a medium-sized buffalo in its mouth and entered the river with it. After this extraordinary incident, the name of Abdul Alim Garuli became widely known, spreading far beyond the local area. According to the accounts, the snake was believed to have been a Manasa snake. This incident is said to have been passed down through generations among many people of that region. And that, dear listeners, was the story. When it comes to Manasa snakes, people have many different things to say. Some people claim that these creatures do not always have a single head. According to certain accounts, they may have 3 heads, 5 heads, 7 heads, or even more. They are said to be an extremely mysterious kind of being. Among the jinn, the Manasa snakes, or Manasa jinn, are believed by some to be an exceptionally powerful group. There is also something else we should keep in mind. When encountering a snake at night, we should exercise extreme caution before attempting to harm or kill it. But what did the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, teach us? It is said that if we encounter a snake, we should first tell it, if you are a jinn, then leave, This should be said 3 times. If the snake does not leave after being told 3 times, then it can be treated as an ordinary snake. The reason for this precaution is that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, was aware that his followers might sometimes unknowingly kill a jinn. And jinn should not be killed without reason. There are believed to be jinn that can take the form of snakes, which is why this precaution was taught to us. This is something we should always keep in mind. Dear listeners, that is where our story ends.